Hello, and welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast with Astrologer Shelley Overton.
Hello, and welcome to the March 18th, 2021 edition of the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast with me, your astrologer, Shelley Overton. I am here to talk to you this week about astrological aspects that we're going to look at and anything else that comes up. I honestly don't have any big plans to talk about anything in particular other than something that would help you integrate what's going on this week and help you in your particular situation. So let's get started. We've got, actually I put up two different charts. One is for Thursday the 18th and one is for Friday the 19th. I started the podcast on the 18th, but I don't know if I'll post it by then. So if I do, you'll get this. And if I don't, this will be out and you won't even know I said this will be out. So, okay, let's just start with today. Today is Thursday. And here in Florida, where I'm at, we've got a 23-degree rising in Cancer. And so it's about home and family and nurturing and security. It's also about domestic things, it's every 2 hours we get a new rising sign. So right now we're at 23 degrees, which means, let's see, in about 20 minutes, maybe we're going to get a new rising sign. But currently, Cancer's on the horizon, and that puts Pluto exactly opposite. And that means if I went outside, and I tell you this so you understand in the material world that this is a real thing. And I mention it occasionally because astrology is very theoretical when you're working with charts and ideas, but it is real world. This is astronomy and astrology came out at the same time and became two different schools of thought. But old-time astronomers were really astrologers as well. They did both. So if you walked outside right now where I'm at, Pluto would just about be going down on the horizon. Unless you had a telescope, you probably couldn't see it. And even if you had one, it's daytime. I don't know how well you could see it. Anyway, so Pluto's going down on the horizon because it's 26 degrees of Capricorn. And because we have a 23-degree rising sign, that puts Pluto exactly opposite. What does that mean? It means that what we're feeling here in Cancer, if you have any planets in Cancer, you feel the opposition to the energy of Pluto. If you are a 23-degree Cancer sun, which means you're about 3 weeks into the sign of Cancer, the sign of Cancer starts around the 21st of June. So add 23 days or, basically 23 days because the sun goes about a degree a day. 23 days after the 21st of June puts you into July and almost to Leo, but it's about a week before Leo sun comes in. And so anyone born around, the 15th, 16th, 17th, in that range of July, will be feeling the energy of 23 degrees Cancer. This is really specific. And of course, if you are not one of those people, then if you have another planet at this degree, you will feel it right now. I personally have Mars at 27 degrees of Cancer. So I feel this. And I feel, if I focus in on it, I should say, because I don't just feel every little thing that goes on. And I don't think we all do. But we have this energy that's continually influencing our lives from the planets. So looking at Pluto at 26 degrees, having a planet directly opposite that, and knowing that that's on the horizon right now, I would tell you as an astrologer, if I pay attention, because I don't look at my chart every time I leave the house, I'm kind of aware of where the planets are. But if I were to say plan a trip, and I were leaving the house, I would go, well, I don't think I want to leave right now because there is a cusp, meaning one of the angles of Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, or Libra being triggered with my own Mars on the horizon and Pluto at the other side. So that can be a significant event for me. if I were to leave the house, Mars is action, and Pluto is deeper psychology around the physicality, the material world, the systems that we're using. So I would initiate an energy at that degree, which would be opposed by a deeper psychological energy. And it could result in the acting out of that energy, of bringing in the power of that energy, which means conflict. Mars is taking action, doing something, and Pluto, well, Mars is action, but Mars in Cancer, my Mars in Cancer, would be wanting to take action around the home with the opposition to the system. So if I'm trying to leave that home, maybe I would be turned back for some reason, or I might go out into the world and there could be a cone zone, as we call it, out there that would restrict my activity because there's that opposition of energies and an aggressive, assertive opposition going on with the initiation energy of that moment indicated by the horizon. So pardon me, and it's not my podcast unless I'm rubbing my nose from itching and angels coming in to help me with this. Usually ends about a minute or two, 10 minutes into the podcast. So we'll just accept it for what it is. Okay. So going more into it, we've got 13 degrees of North Node, which means opposite the South Node at 13 Sagittarius. I'm going to tell you the locations, and I'm going to go back over what's going on. Mars at 8 degrees Gemini, Moon at 27 Taurus. We've got Uranus at 8 degrees of Taurus, Sun at 28 degrees of Pisces, followed by Venus at 26 Pisces, Neptune at 20 Pisces, and then finally at the beginning of Pisces is Mercury at 3 degrees. We've got Jupiter at 20 Aquarius, Saturn at 10 Aquarius, and then, like I said, Pluto at 26 Capricorn. I'm not including the asteroids in this. Sometimes I talk about the asteroids. This chart doesn't have them. I think Vesta is still in Virgo. Really difficult energy for me personally with 4 planets in Virgo, and I think she is within a degree of my sun. So there is a conflict that can come about with the energies, and Virgo is always meticulous, always, by nature a perfectionist, but meticulous and critical. I have worked on that in my life, and I've overcome a lot of that, and I have the fortune to have a Saturn in Pisces, which opposes that energy, and we also have Neptune in Pisces with 4 planets in Pisces currently, so that can really help counterbalance the Virgo energy. It also means that Vesta is opposite Neptune right now, not in exact opposition, but, definitely opposing. So part of that storyline in our world is the particular, meticulous, pragmatic, critical nature that we are feeling in some area. It doesn't mean we have to express it. It means that there can be somebody who represents that nature in our world. I definitely have that. Probably on more than one front, but definitely one front. The opposition to that is Neptune and all the Pisces. So there's also an energy of a dreamy person, or a person who has maybe an addiction or is visionary, a sage, a wise one. I can think of right now, actually, a couple women in my life. One is a client and one is an aunt, maybe even 3, who are very Piscean ruled or Piscean influenced right now. And it means that their world is a bit more foggy or disengaged on some level, which can only be reinforced by all the Aquarius energy. So, the Virgo Pisces axis right now, if you have Virgo, you're feeling the counterbalance to it. The universe is saying, yeah, you're very meticulous and there's a place for that. But currently we are trying to learn the lessons of Pisces, which means slow down, pay attention to where you may have addictions, to where you may not want to look at the true nature of something, which Virgo does very well. Virgo is meticulous in going through things with a fine-tooth comb and finding out what the truth is. I think I've noticed recently a few people saying things that are really blunt, which can be exacerbated by the Gemini Mars. and also any Sagittarian energy. Of course, South Node's in Sagittarius right now, because the Gemini-Sagittarius axis of energy is a rather blunt, matter-of-fact energy. It sees what it sees, and then it wants to just tell you about it. And that squares the energy of Pisces Virgo. So they have this energy of squaring and opposition to each other in axes. So that means, opposite axes are crossing, creating an energy of frustration, but also the blunt words people say can definitely hurt our feelings. I had a friend on the phone that I was talking to this week say something to me about my daughter that it took me aback that he would be that blunt about his perception of her. And he mentioned it, and I was just like, wow, that was really kind of aggressive to say something about my daughter when I was expressing, a point with him of loving her, and he kind of smacked that down. So that energy is out there. And the interesting thing is he's a Sagittarius and I'm a Virgo, so they square each other. And Sagittarius can be rather blunt. Also, people can use their words aggressively with Mars and Gemini. And so look for where words are being used to slash people and bring them down because of that aggressive nature of Mars, the planet. Anyway, okay, so we have all this Pisces energy, and then we also have Aquarian energy, which is the ruler or ruled by Uranus. Uranus is currently at 8 degrees of Taurus, and it squares Saturn at 10 degrees of Aquarius. Difficult energy, this energy is more felt by Taurus and Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo. So if those are your signs, you are feeling the energy around the fixed signs, and it's difficult when you're a fixed sign. Again, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, or Aquarius, because your sign lets you dig in deep to whatever your ideology is. And I use the word ideology meaning this is the way I perceive things and what I plan to do about it, which can just sink deeper into a dogmatic way of seeing things. And, now this is a principle and I'm not going to change. And, you can feel righteous and dug in, especially with Taurus energy. All of the fixed signs are pretty hardcore when it comes to stubborn. And I had a conversation with one of my kids this week. Actually, it's kind of been an ongoing conversation about career Saturn. And I've talked about this before. My son has an Aquarius rising. He's got 3 planets in Aquarius. 2 are right on the horizon, above the horizon in the 1st degree of Aquarius. He's got a 1 degree Aquarius rising, and he's got an 8 degree Uranus in Aquarius. So he is very lit up with the Aquarian energy, and his Saturn happens to be in early degrees of Taurus. So what's going on with him? Uranus is on his Saturn, and Saturn is on his Uranus. He's going through a career crisis. It is as literal as you can get in that particular aspect. It's exactly opposite his natal square between the 2 planets. And he's been really digging deep, trying to figure out what it is he wants to do. And he's been talking to both his parents, saying, what was I like as a kid? What was I before I was in school, when basically my mind started getting filtered through the archetype and hierarchy of school and, the educational system, the kind of brainwashing that goes on for everybody when they get involved in any kind of system. There's a certain amount of initiation that happens with us. And so he was talking to me about it, and he was talking to his dad, and both of us, I think, told him kind of the same thing, is you really liked to fidget with items and mechanical things and create stuff with your hands. And he realized that he's always loved flight and airplanes, And so he decided to look into becoming an aviation mechanic, which is a really radical left turn from finance in some ways. In other ways, Taurus is a sign that very much is hands-on. And because his Saturn, his career planet, is in Taurus, it's about getting deep into it. Like, what is the physicality of the item and how does it work? And he realized all of those things that he's interested in related to travel and flight and the interest of planes. If you've heard me talk about him, he's a sailor. He loves to sail, and he's got Venus and Mars in Cancer, but really his Pluto is in Sagittarius, and his Saturn is in the third house of transportation. I have encouraged him for training or teaching of some sort, which may be in the future from what he's told me, but I find it really interesting. And there's also one other aspect to it, and I'm going to just cover this. His chart and my son's chart, or my son, excuse me, my uncle, have a lot of points in common. I'm going to leave this for a second. I did a chart with them, and my uncle, he was an aviation mechanic, and he was also a sailor who had his own boat. So my son now, with all these common aspects to my uncle, he's sharing a lot of the same life path choices. And I find that really fascinating. So you can use astrology to kind of infer areas that you would per se be interested in common with other people, which I find really fascinating. And part of the reason I started to study astrology, quite honestly. So Aquarians right now, especially the Jupiter in Aquarius expansion of ideas, and then the Saturn-Uranus square, it's really challenging you to figure out what energies, what cooperation there is with your career, and do you want to physically do what you're doing? Are you good with your career? And it isn't just someone with that particular Saturn, but if you are wondering about your career, this energy really is helping you get new ideas about how to go about it. And it doesn't have to mean you're changing careers, but it can mean that there are new influences and new ways of looking at your career with that particular aspect, especially Uranus wanting us to figure out what really sparks our love of something, the Venus connection to Taurus that Uranus is in. So, yeah, we're feeling that. And then the Scorpios are feeling the opposition to Uranus and the square to Saturn and Jupiter. And so if you have a sun in Scorpio, you're going to feel your identity is being challenged on some level. If you have, say, a Venus in Scorpio, you're going to be probably more looking at the love relationships and are you getting what you need from the love relationships? If you have Saturn in Scorpio, for sure, you're also feeling a change and shift in career, how you earn your money from what you do, because Saturn in Scorpio, those people, I have a friend, at least one friend, probably a couple, who have that. I know 2 to 3 off the top of my head who have Saturn in Scorpio, and they're going to be feeling, you know, am I earning the kind of money I need to earn, and am I getting the kind of work I want with the freedom I need at this point in my life? Because those with Saturn and Scorpio were born in the 50s. One set of them, of course, and there were, I don't know, there was another one, of course, born in like the late 70s, maybe. I'm trying to think of where it would be at that point. Yeah, probably the late 70s. I'd have to look it up for sure, but it's about 28 years after 1957. So whatever that turns out to be, 75-ish. I don't know. No, it's probably early 80s. I'm sorry, my bad. Probably early 80s. Anyway, you can do your research on that. Then the Leos, right now I know for sure the people with Pluto in Leo, which were born in the 40s, the mid to late 40s, somewhere in there. And actually, just consider the 40s, they had Pluto and Leo. Those folks are feeling the opposition of Saturn, Jupiter, and the square to Uranus and Taurus, which actually is approaching, it's about sextile to their natal Uranus, and those folks have Uranus in Gemini and Cancer. And so it's going through getting closer to the feeling of that. So in about 7-8 years, they're going to feel Uranus return. If they're older, if they're in their 80s, they probably are in a Uranus return. Uranus returns every 84 years approximately to where it was when you were born. So that means midlife crises are Uranus opposed Uranus. And that's why we feel this need to I just can't, I need freedom. I want to go and be wild and bold. And that's Uranus, a Uranus opposition in midlife. Again, you'll have a square to Uranus, which I actually know somebody who's probably got a Uranus square right now. And early 60s, he's in his early 60s. So yeah, you can feel it again. You got your 40s, your 60s, your 80s. And that energy of wanting freedom, feeling like, man, am I ever going to retire? That can hit. So, wherever you're feeling Uranus in your natal chart opposing or cooperating with your planets, but also the house it's in. So, if we do a reading, I can look at where you're being affected by that Uranus, where you're being affected by that Saturn. If you know and you just want more fleshed out information, I can do that too. That's what I do. And let's see what else. So yeah, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Sagittarius. Leos, they're feeling that hit of Aquarius to their need to connect to other people. I know a lot of Leo energy people. I've got a son and a father with Leo. I've got a few friends with Leo connections and other family members. And it's feeling like you want to connect to family or even connect to deep friends, but Uranus energy is squaring that and asking where we're not connecting and how that affects our love and our money, our sense of self, our value. And then, of course, Saturn and Aquarius is saying, but right now you have to understand what's going on with the disconnect, because Aquarius/Uranus are making it harder for us to really care in the same way. It's almost like we've cared so much, the Leo people, that now we need to detach from that need to always be validated and validate ourselves, which also is the message that Pluto in Capricorn has brought in for us. And so that brings us to Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn. If I have, so that's the final 4, so to speak, of the different axes. And I kind of started backwards. I started with the mutables, and now I'm at the cardinal. So the cardinal houses: Aries, Capricorn, Cancer, Pluto, or Cancer, Libra. You're feeling mostly the energy right now. Well, as far as your cross oppositions and squares, you're feeling Pluto. We're going to have a Cancer moon coming up on the weekend. It's going to happen. Let me just look at what we've got here. Actually, I take it back. Cancer this week is going to be Monday and Tuesday, and Wednesday, Thursday are going to be Leo. And then most of Friday and Saturday, the coming week, which is the 26th and 27th, will be Virgo energy, Virgo moon. And so really the Cancer energy for the people who are in the cardinal, Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, early next week, the 22nd through the 25th, will be your time to really focus on home and family, feeling security, feeling the connectedness, because the moon will highlight and accent that. And then, of course, every time the moon gets to a late degree, which will be Tuesday for next week, we're going to feel that opposition of Pluto, and it's going to happen early in the morning on Tuesday, so probably a little bit more direct connection to that Pluto in our waking hours on Monday. And Monday around the world is probably going to be where we'll really feel we're needing security, we're needing to cocoon and maybe pull away. But it's also going to be the time where we see a little bit more of the culmination of some of the political stories, which, they definitely go in cycles and in waves. When we've got energy of Mars triggering things, we see racism is part of the story of society and the overarching storyline of news stories and society. And then when we have triggers to Pluto, it's more about authority figures and how the authority figures are integrating where society is at the time. Mars in Gemini right now, definitely this week with the George Floyd story for what's going on in the courts there. Can't get the word. I already heard that there's one of the jurors, or maybe even two jurors, who were released because they had biases from what was going on with the settlement of the police force in Minnesota to George Floyd's family. So it's in the news. It's something that we're seeing out there in the news. And then the communication aspect, duality, it's the courts and it's the family. It's this court decision based on the family civil suit versus, the criminal court case. So it's duality of two. With that Aries ruled Mars in Aries from last year, energy of that storyline. Hang on a second. I'm just going to have a sip of water real quick. Okay, so, yeah. Oh, somebody's got to quiet that down. There we go. Okay. Yeah, and then there's, so also Aries energy of Mars, the Aries connection to police, or not even Aries connection, Mars, Aries are basically synonymous, like every planet to its ruler. If you know the energy and archetype of the planet, you also know the zodiac sign and vice versa. So Mars is synonymous with Aries energy. It's synonymous with assertiveness, what is the word? Ambition, firefighters, EMTs, blood, head, everything that you assign, sales, action. That can also mean sports. It can mean building things. I say this for all of you newbies who come in and want to understand the zodiac. Aries brings that energy into Gemini, and Gemini is communication, training, understanding things. It's learning. It's the connectedness to peers. So side to side, meaning brothers, sisters, aunts and uncles, neighbors, anyone that you would be kind of lateral peer group. That's all Gemini. And so you combine those two and you get assertiveness with neighbors, or action and activity with neighbors. Doesn't have to be aggressive, doesn't have to be negative. It can just mean there's an interaction with neighbors. You're learning something from neighbors. There may be something technical that you're taking care of. I know I have my aunt, lateral Gemini. She has her screen door not working, and a neighbor came to help her. So it was a man, which is Mars energy, came to help her with the wheels on the sliding door. So it's a very literal energy astrologically, and that kind of thing can come up. So you may be having aggressive neighbors. Again, as Mars goes through Gemini, currently he's only at 8 degrees, but in the next couple weeks, he's going to be in conjunct to that late degree Pluto, which I think is getting ready to go retrograde and will be in the shadow. We're probably already in the shadow, coming up 24 degrees and 19 minutes, which started in, early 2419, 4th of January. So we've been in the shadow of Pluto for this year. I mean, there's very little time when you're not either in a shadow or a retrograde energy from Pluto, because it's half the year retrograde, half the year direct. And so he only goes 2 degrees. There's really like only 1 degree of territory that Pluto covers where, okay, we don't have to go back over that energy for another 240 years, every single year. And so that's right around, I think, 23 degrees to 24 degrees. We're not going back over that for another 240 years. So every year he gains like 1 full degree where it's like, yeah, we're not going over that. So pretty much we're either always in a year in the shadow or in the actual retrograde itself, which currently we're in the shadow of Pluto. So it means that every year we're focused highly on that 1 degree. And, just for, I'm going to look this up and I'm going to have to talk while I'm doing it. I'm actually going to be multitasking. Don't know if I can do this, but there's something called the Arabic part. No, Arabic points. Oh, I don't know. Gosh, it's been a while since I used it now. I completely forgot. The Arabic parts. No, darn it. Oh, I was going to bring it up, but I can't remember what it's called. Let me just see if I've got it under Arabic in my, no. So what it is, Sabian, that's what it is. It's Sabian, my bad. Sabian symbols. So the Sabian symbols are symbols that are associated with every degree of the sky. And so when a planet goes through any degree in the sky, it's associated with kind of a storyline or an archetype that we have. And I'm sorry, my bad. I'm just trying to open up. Hang on one second. And anyway, sorry. So the Sabian symbols are associated with a specific degree. So what does that mean? It means that we can look at that particular degree and have kind of a storyline or an archetype of that degree symbol. And I know I have it on my desktop, which is what I was trying to get at, but it's not working currently. I mean, excuse me, I can't find it there. So I'm going to just real quick look it up online for you. But unfortunately, this is what happens. Hang on. I accidentally opened up a program, and when I open up a program, it's really slow to get to what I'm looking for. Okay, here we go. Sabian symbols. Okay, so the Sabian symbols, like I said, go through every degree, and that would mean that this year with Pluto, we are covering the 24th and 25th degree of Capricorn. So let's just see if we can find out what 24 to 25 degrees of Capricorn stands for, because every year we have that degree. We'll just keep talking here while the computer is doing its job. Okay, and so now let's get on to Mercury. Mercury and actually Venus, Neptune, Sun in Pisces. Mercury, if it's doing something to one of your planets, early degree Gemini, early degree Sagittarius, early degree Virgo. Mercury is 1 degree off of a direct square to opposition to my natal Mercury at 4 degrees of Virgo. And then Mars just passed it. So there's kind of actually a square between Mars and Mercury coming up, especially this week. I would say about Monday, there's going to be a square to Mercury. And so we're going to have some words and difficulty emotionally. We're going to integrate what's going on with words right around Monday. Let me see the exact degree. So Mercury squares Mars actually on Tuesday. Tuesday, 11:26 p.m. Eastern, 8:26 p.m. Pacific. And so I do anticipate there will be some information that we find out on that day that's difficult to integrate. And the reason I say that is because usually when we have a significant transit of a quick moving planet or light, which is the sun, the moon, Venus, Mercury, Mars in Pisces, that's integrating something emotional in our world. And because Mars is more active and aggressive, it means we're going to have some words or an accident or something that is mercurial affecting our emotions and our sense of calm and ability to cope emotionally with what's going on. Okay, I've got the symbol page. I just have to click the actual symbols themselves, and we'll quickly find out what that is. Oh my goodness. Okay. Stories in everyday life, probably not it. I don't want an article, I just want the symbols themselves. So I'm not getting what I need. Let me see if I can find it. I've got a couple different Google responses coming up, and I'm not getting the actual symbols, which is really frustrating. Okay, here we go. This is going to be more difficult than I anticipated, sadly. Okay, here we go. Okay, Mars and Gemini, help me to talk. Sabian symbol list by degrees. And it would be at straightwoo.com is where I'm finding it. So let's quickly go down. Capricorn 16 to 30. There we go. See, I'm doing this completely casually and, in the moment. Not planned today. I try and have a little bit planned, but I clicked on 16. Why are you showing me 8? There we go. Oh, this is a lot. So we've got a woman entering a convent, which is a really fascinating visual. Again, this is from straightwoo.com. A convent is a place made available by a community which believes in the possibility of reaching a world transcending state of consciousness. It is made available to individuals who may be variously motivated. To some, it is an escape from the intolerable pressures of family and society. To others, it represents the possibility of pursuing in peace a spiritual ideal to which the whole being aspires and is totally dedicated. The important point in this phase of the cyclic process is that the existence of a convent expresses another aspect of the relationship between the society, its religion and culture, and the individual. I'm just going to let you have that. So transcendent security, which is the connection of bringing things to a higher plane in the physicality. And then 25 degrees of Capricorn is a store filled with precious Oriental rugs. So that's quite a specific thing, which is really an interesting, beautiful thing about Sabian symbols is it's, to me, somewhat enigmatic or eccentric and practical at the same time. So the keynote is the use of cultural and artistic processes as means to enhance personal comfort and appreciation. Yeah, so basically that's what it is using. It brings us back to the material yet aesthetic aspect of the benefits a society can bring to its members. And I'm going to just kind of leave it at that because I have wasted a lot of time attempting to look that up. I'm just going to kind of let that go. Anyway, you get the idea. We're basically in kind of an aesthetic moment of growth and experiencing spirituality, which is both abstract and physical as well. So I'll leave it to you to figure how that works in your personal world. And you know what? I take it back. I've got one more thing I want to check in with that because I read 24 and 25 Capricorn, but I'm also going to read 26 because that's exactly where it is today. And it is a nature spirit dancing in the iridescent mist of the waterfall, which makes me really want to read it. The ability to perceive the hidden and creative spirit of natural phenomenon, which I can completely see based on the ability to perceive hidden, which is Pluto, and the creative spirit of the natural phenomenon, which is the practical, material, physical world of Capricorn, the structure of the body. The Sabian symbols make several references to nature spirits. Here we are dealing with the revelation of the spiritual or psychic forces related to the element water. Water binds all living cells in a wholesome interplay. It symbolizes the constant flow of vital energies, the fluidity of the basic phases of universal life processes, the ascent and descent of emotional energies, and of love. So we can personify these phases and speak of the soul of nature and act at a cosmic level of the world soul, anima mundi. Anyway, interesting stuff. So I think I'm going to leave it there for this week. It's a lot to digest, and hopefully every zodiac sign got a little something from this podcast this week. And I do want to wish my friends who are early Aries and late Pisces a happy birthday this week, and especially my daughter who turns 20 on Sunday. So happy birthday. And with that, see you later. Love you and take care. Have a good week. Bye.
You have been listening to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show. If you would like to get a private reading with Shelley, please contact her through angeliczodiac.com or at so@angeliczodiac.com. You can arrange a reading through the Angelic Zodiac page at facebook.com as well. Check out Angelic Zodiac on Instagram for up-to-date information on events, discounts, blogs and planetary transits at Angelic Zodiac 1 on Instagram. If you would like to see Shelley's art, shelleyoverton.com, or for astrology art, go to astroart.net. Music provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. Other music will be credited within the show. Advice given in the program is intended for entertainment purposes only. Join us here next week for more of the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast. You can find us on iTunes and Google Play, and where podcasts are accessed.